with us on family-friendly cities for urban India.
Quick concepts. How many are from civil engineering background here? Of course, I'm sure nobody from architecture, right? Anybody from civil engineering background here? Raise your hand here. Kai Pokap. Malayalam and Tamil are sister languages. You can, raise your hand. Very little. Okay, hello. Hello. Okay, so I'm going to speak on a new concept, and of course, it's slightly lengthy presentation, but I'll finish in 20 minutes because more than you, I require lunch. Okay, so towards the end, I'll be slightly quick. Okay, I'll show you some work. You have seen examples in UK how they have done, right? So we are trying to experiment it in Indian context. Anybody have been abroad, you can see that the quality of spaces in cities are always good. So we are trying to experiment it. Okay, so the concept is basically from home to streets, a family-friendly city as a concept of urban India. Okay, so this is one study we did for Thrissur city in Kerala. So I'll just give a brief introduction in the beginning about concept of family-friendly cities. So if you really look at this is basically a typical Indian city before the year 2000. Most of you, I'm sure, are born after 2000. But then this is a reality. We have one TV where everybody surrounds together that. We have one evening get together in the lawn or the porch where sit together and talk. We also have play carom board. We also sleep in the same bed. There is always space for family to interact, right? It was there. But then later, this is a typical Indian city as of today. We don't, the biggest problem is what I kept here, mobile. All of us sit in our silos and look at your mobile. Right now also many are looking at the mobile. As and when the presentation is boring, I'm sure people are looking at the presentation, right? So here, this is now what we are doing is that we are slowly moving away to a city. My mother used to always tell that if you go and eat from outside, don't come to house. Now the first person to come outside to eat is my mother. Right? We moved gradually from home to cities, right? The family outing space. So this is the picture of Calicut Beach, where the city where I come from. And typically, the first one, and our streets become the playgrounds, which we are seeing, because we don't have any more playgrounds. We also have eating outside becomes very common, and of course, congestion and urban problems. Okay. But then what we really require is something different. That is this, what we require. These are all examples and pictures we have taken from different contexts in the Europe. That is a street. The street, when it becomes walkable in the night, becomes an eating area. Then you have biking area. You have got, the middle one is Trafalgar Square in London, where you have all political debate, discussion, multiple activities will happen at the same center. You also have open space for children, and of course for family spaces, right? So this need to be created in Indian cities, right? Civil engineers, architects, urban designers, you have the role to create such spaces within urban centers. Now that brings to the concept of a community vitality, bringing the entire community together to the cities. Now it gives you a lot of sense of belongingness, it gives a sense of security, it gives a sense of emotional support, experience in diversity, you talk to each other in streets, kind of thing. Okay? So this is basically the family. A family is becoming a basic unit of a community, right? That's what the one who inaugurated our former president, late APJ Abdul Kalam, said this famous words: when will a nation be happy? A nation will only be happy if when the mother is happy, when the mother is happy, a family is happy. When the family is happy, the community will be happy. And the community is happy, the nation will be happy, right? So family is a close unit. It has to be happy. It need to interact with each other, wherein which there are multiple roles and foundations of healthy relationship happens only in a healthy family. Now, this is what most of these people has been talking about, the concept of neighborhood. I'm pretty sure none of these people knows what is a neighborhood, especially I'm more bothered about the students. A neighborhood unit is nothing but a small entity of space. Okay, neighborhood, which need to be more, proactive. There need to be more. Basically, the concept is that if I have a daughter or a son, he should be, if I'm a mother or father, I should be happy that to leave my son or daughter to the streets or to the cityscapes where he doesn't have any problem of traffic congestion and no car will hit him. He has the freedom and liberty to walk and go to school without any traffic hindrance or some problem. Such a unit school, so we basically take school as a basic unit of planning, and within the school surrounding, the entire locality and community is getting planned. Such a concept is called as neighborhood planning. When multiple neighborhoods are developed, the city becomes developed. Okay. There are a lot of arguments for and against it. But then, of course, achieving family friendliness involves, you require good education system, you require financial, money is there, no? We can all plan everything. But who will pay for all those things, right? That's the biggest question we all face it. We also want good streets and spaces like what we see in the West. But where is the money coming? That brings the primary, it's possible. It's possible to generate money from the project itself. But we don't have time to discuss about it. That's become more sustainable and things like that, okay? So now, family-friendly city involves safety, quality of education, parks and recreation spaces, affordability. Everybody should be able to go and visit there. Healthcare, community engagement, cultural activities, low pollution, public transport system. Somebody said this word, no? When will a city be, country be developed? It is not when the rich has got Mercedes-Benz or everybody got Mercedes-Benz. A country is only developed if the rich or the poor travels in the same bus, right? So that is the quality of life what we require in India. And of course, job opportunities need to be low traffic congestion, diverse dining options, supportive services, low noise, safety, green initiatives, parental leave, access to nature, family housing, affordable housing for everybody. Multiple things has to come in cities in India. So this concept evolves around this theory of family plus planned city development becomes family-friendly cities. We have a concept of a familyness plus a planned city development. None of the cities are planned. In the inauguration also somebody was talking about it's an organic growth. We require, my friends who are from the civil engineering background or architecture or other disciplines, there is a dearth of planners in the country. You please join urban planning as a, keep an eye on this profession. There are a lot of opportunity. One of my doctoral student who went to, after a PhD, went to Ireland. She did a 2-year postdoctoral in University of Dublin. And she joined, she's not a planner, but she did PhD with me. She joined as a planner because the country does not have a planner. She was given a government job, So that's the dearth of planners in the world, and you have a lot of opportunities in India and abroad. Keep an eye on this profession. Incidentally, I told it, okay? So this is also one issue. This is an example, those who are from the social science background, this is something called as a demographic pyramid. The bottom is becoming smaller in India. The top, the west is the problem, is that aging is a problem. Spaces like Kerala, this is a diagram from Kerala. Old age, aging is becoming a problem. So they are unemployable, they don't find a job, they don't have any other activity house, so they have to more, street has to be age-friendly also. So this gives the concept evolving around 4 pillars, basically talk about age-friendly city design. The way India is going, another 20 to 30 years, when I am 47 right now, 30 years, I have to think about myself, the city should be able to cater to my lifestyle. We also require mobility-friendly, differently able-friendly city design. We require inclusive city design. The city is not for you and me. City is for the poor. City is for the rickshaw wala. City is for the person who sells things on street, right? He should be able to access the city. And of course, it should be able for children also. So this comes to the making Indian cities child-friendly. So one is basically you require to create less automobile and more movable spaces. It is difficult, people think like that, because we are thinking from the perspective of mobility only from the car-centric. You think the reverse. What if the public transport system takes the place, the majority, and the community walkable space within any neighborhood happens? That's becoming more popular. It is slowly in the moving direction. And of course, walkability, these are examples, which of course from the Western context, we do have Indian cities also slowly moving in this direction. See, people think that's not possible. This is the first diagram which I've taken from Amsterdam, which is actually all these European models are already planned for car-centric cities initially. in the 18th century, beginning of 19th century, all of them planned for this kind of model only. Then they reverted back, right? So this is the transformation, what you can see in the first diagram. What is actually a car-centric city gradually becomes a plaza space. This is again transformations what you can see in the Western world. You can also, I'll show you examples from India as well. So again, this is Bangkok. When I went in, I was teaching in Bangkok for 6 months during COVID time. So even India-like cities, for example, Thailand is similar to India, right? So even in Bangkok, cities are getting slowly transformed into public transport systems, and creating spaces within the city becomes an open space, okay? So again, this is skywalk. You have a city, vehicles are moving along the ground. There are 4 malls on 4 corners. You connect through to the sky. Possible, right? You're creating open space at the sky so that at the mall, at the fifth floor, you connect all the malls together and create a skywalk. Possible, right? This is again in India, Pune. Pune is getting transformed, right? So again, this is again in Pune. You're creating more walkable, open-centric spaces within the cities. And this is again in Pune, which are more child-friendly, differently able-friendly, wheelchair-accessible city spaces. They're all examples from the Indian city of Pune. Many cities do have this. And again, these are all from Pune, what we have done. Again, we have to think about age-friendly cities. The way the demographic transition is happening in south of India, especially in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, aging is becoming more, right? So cities should be more accessible for them, where you require street design for age-friendly cities, outdoor space and buildings, community spaces, etc., etc. And of course, cities should be capable of taking into consideration of children, child-friendly cities, right? So there is again a concept which we need to think about. When there is no traffic, at some point of the, some time of the day, especially on weekends, the streets becomes playgrounds. It's possible. If we really replan our transit system, if we really plan our system, right? So this is an example where school public spaces can be, we have in Calicut city, a lot of schools, this campus has got open ground. What happens on Saturday, Sunday? You are not using this ground, right? Why can't it be given to community? Let the old age people, let the parks be used by. It is happening. A lot of public schools, because these schools occupy the prime land. Why can't the library used by the public? Nobody will steal. It's all wrong notion that people steal the books. It's all wrong. This public spaces is belonging to the city. Whether it is privately owned or at least on different, after 5, why can't the ground be used by non-college students? Provided there has to be control, regulation. People will make use of it, right? So we require to create spaces. Money is not a problem. Creativity is not a problem. We can create spaces multiple times, right? So this kind of things is required in India. And of course, street and vendor-friendly designs are required. We always say that, no, these people who sell things on the street, they are not. No, they are also integral part of the city, right? We require planned spaces for them. When there is lack of congestion, when they are more, you use them. The same thing can be dismantled and be converted as a public space later. So multiple utility space is possible. So I'll quickly go through because I'm reminding about food and timing. So this is a lengthy presentation. I'll quickly be doing some concepts which we worked out. It's easy to talk about unless we work on ground, right? So other European fallacies and fantasies are very easy to be talked about. But we need to experiment it in Indian cities. So we did it for the Thrissur Corporation. Again, Thrissur is a UNESCO learning city. So what we did is actually, we did under three components. From this diagram, you can see that there are 3 things. One is actually looking at the social infrastructure dimension. The other one is the mobility infrastructure, how the traffic and transport system will be replanned to accommodate this. And third is, again, economy and social inclusion. These 3 dimensions, even at a neighborhood level to a broader level, is our entire study. It's a very lengthy presentation, but I'll quickly, only one component of social infrastructure is only I'm taking into consideration. The other 2, there is no time. So it's a 3-hour presentation, but I'm completing in another 5 minutes of one of the component. So what we did is basically, we have mapped all the education facilities, healthcare facilities, recreational facilities, and public services within the city, and we compared with standards, how much is required ideally and how much we lack. So accordingly, we first worked on certain case studies within India and abroad. What are they good for? And then we did, this is basically education. All the schools were mapped on the map of Thrissur, and then we understood what is lacking where, and then we compared with, this is again Thrissur on educational sector, and of course different schools, engineering colleges, again Anganwadis, primary schools, all those things were mapped, and then we identified accessibility. What is lacking? Which are the areas where do people have to walk more? People have to travel more. It is not guaranteed that everybody will go to the same schools in the neighborhood, but still, to some extent, we mapped it and we understood with the population, with the area, and we divided by the denominator. We get to know how much is the accessibility with respect to different service areas. Okay. So again, with respect to different service areas, Anganwadis and all those things, and schools, special schools, everything, and we mapped it, and then we did a primary survey. Again, we did the same thing for health sector. Everybody should be walkable and accessible to a health center. So again, we mapped the whole thing, and we created such layers of spatial maps and divided again what is lacking where. Okay. So again, the same thing will continue. Again, we did for for hospitals, primary hospitals to higher order hospitals. So within 15 minutes of walking, everything should be ideally available within the city for a minimum amount of population, right? So that's the first thing what we did. Again, these are all maps created. What is lacking where in what part of the city? And then what is the gap in primary health center? What is the gap areas in schools? Okay, so those things we did, and when connected with the SDGs, I'm sure all of you know the UN SDG goals, right? And then again, schools, primary, again, we worked on the recreational facilities. All of us require parks and open. We cannot ask people to go to the street, right? We have to create such spaces. So for that, what existing itinerary, what do you have really have is marked, and what is lacking is again done. And it's not moving. I don't know why it's not moving. Okay, it's slightly lengthy. Okay. So again, the gap areas are identified. What is actually lacking to how much population is. There are different standards for this many population, this much is required. For this much area walkable, this much is required. So different standards, maximum walking distance in 15 minutes, and level of accessibility is worked out for different facilities, including recreation spaces. Everything is worked out for community halls and services. Everything is marked, and a creation of a social infrastructure layer is created for the whole city. And then gap identification is done. Again, public stations, comfort station, toilets, police stations, everything is marked within the city, and then we worked out what is lacking there. I'm quickly going through all those things, okay? So all those things are fire stations, again, Akshaya Center, public toilets, post offices, okay? And of course, the matrix is created, and accordingly, we created a holistic, what is lacking where in what part of the city, which ward, what is missing, and we created a composite index map, creating that which is socially well-off area and what is less well-off. And accordingly, we created accessibility mapping, and of course, we created this kind of metrics. Okay, so now this is the summary of what. Again, this is at the infrastructure level. Then we took certain wards. That is a part 2 of the study. I don't have time to explain it. Where we created solutions for addressing all those things at the ward level, at the neighborhood level, at the street level. I don't have time to explain it. So this is a part 1 of the study which I explained it. Part 2 is there, part 3 is there, which if we get time later, we'll do it. So again, how we can actually, we created a vision plan for different people, right from a 0 to 2 year to 60 plus year old. Okay, what should be the city catering to different age groups, and different proposals were given. And of course, I don't have time, so I'm just quickly giving, rushing to the presentation. And to conclude, what we did basically is spatial data inventory is created, accessibility assessment is there, need assessment is there, strategic interventions are planned, and ultimately a policy framework is given. We presented in front of the city council. Thrissur is going to be planning, the next 25 years is to be planned for family friendly as a concept. This is a small intervention because the city council has agreed, the mayor has agreed that we should, I don't know how they have the capacity to do that. Now we can do all those things with a minimal investment from an academic perspective. Later, if you really want to take it as a real life project to implement it, they have to pay money. We cannot do free, right? So we are negotiating with them. We are working with an academic level also how we can subsidize and do it, so that at least some selected neighborhoods we can showcase as family-friendly city models in India. Thrissur is a good city because they're the first UNESCO learning city, the first city to become family-friendly in India. We're eyeing for it. In Kerala, we have already become city of literature for Kozhikode, which we worked on it. We are also trying to city of design for Kochi. So multiple interventions we are working with respect to the state government, organizations and corporations and municipalities. We do have interest in Tirunelveli also. Tomorrow, if you call us, we can come and work here also. Right? So thank you for giving me an opportunity. So the learning outcomes, and this is my detail. You can contact me personally if anybody is interested in joining urban planning as a profession. You can note my number. Just Google my name, Mohammed Firoz, NIT Calicut. My personal phone number is given in my website. You can call me, send me WhatsApp. We can communicate and talk together later. I invite you. There's a lot of scope and opportunities for urban planning in India because we have the largest urban population in the world as of today. Right? Not in terms of percentage of population, but in terms of absolute number. Our city requires absolute revamping. We need more workforce like you. Please join and connect and communicate later. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Your words